Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Lewis with We Are Winter Garden, and we are on episode 34 of Straight Talk, No BS with Matthew's Hope. And today we're going to be talking about the ultimate thank you and Shannon's story coming full circle. So I'm joined by Pastor Scott, who is the CEO and founder of Matthew's Hope, and also Shannon, who is a former guest of Matthew's Hope and now the Orange County Campus Director.
Oh, congrats.
So if you haven't heard of Shannon's story yet, I encourage you to go back to episode 8 and listen in more on the depth of her journey with Matthew's Hope, a little bit more of her story. But for today, the ultimate thank you. Shannon, how does it feel to be introduced as the Orange County Campus Director for Matthew's Hope?
It feels surreal, right? I never came into this thinking it was going to lead anywhere, right? Of course, I hoped it would get my life together. Never did I think it would, get my life together in terms of just being productive. Nothing beyond that.
And helping so many others too.
Yeah. So it's surreal.
And Scott, how did it feel when you announced her promotion? I was there in the room, and it was pretty emotional and pretty grand.
Pretty heavily, so
That water was heavy.
I couldn't think of anything else to do. What the hell? Let's make her now. When the possibility of a new director was coming into play in Orange County, we had a few people that, quite honestly, were very qualified to take the position. And as we kind of peeled the onion back, and we kept coming back to Shannon. And it was, it was one of those things that I tell people all the time is, what's better, someone who read about it in a book or someone who lived it? And Shannon literally came from death's door. And how many ODs did you have?
Well, ambulance rides, like $1,600 worth times 5 at least, right? So, I mean, the ones that I just got put in a shower for and whatever, I have no idea. A lot.
And I want people to understand, whether you're watching this or you're listening to us. I want you to know, when we laugh about it, it's not so much that we're laughing at it. It's both Shannon and I have both come out of addiction, and there's just something that we share, and you sit there and you kind of go, every day my life is surreal. I ask myself all the time, what in the world am I doing here running this multi-million-dollar 2-campus organization? I'm a high school dropout that made more of my share of mistakes than most people have. But, I think part of that was, I love broken people. And I saw that she was very broken. I will tell you that my initial thought is, oof, I don't know.
What are we going to do with her?
What are we going to do with this one? Okay. But Shannon made up her mind very quickly that she was going to do everything she was asked to do, and not always happily.
No.
So Shannon, for those who haven't seen or heard episode 8 yet, where we dive into your story, can you tell everybody a little bit how you started with Matthew's Hope, where it began?
Absolutely. So it started in about 2019. I was really bad in addiction. I didn't have my kids anymore. I just didn't really know what to do with my life. Like I mentioned before, I overdosed so many times. I didn't really know what was left for me. I honestly was losing the will to live. So I started going to a 12-step program. Someone mentioned Matthew's Hope. I started coming in, and it just kind of snowballed in a good way from there, right? And I'm used to it usually going, south, but it just great things started happening. I will say that it was very hard work. So when, moving forward is something that you truly have to want. It can't, your mom can't want it for you. Your kids, I didn't do this for my kids. I didn't do it for anyone besides myself. Thankfully, I've gotten all those things back because of it.
Good.
But in the beginning, it was for me because my life was hopeless.
And Scott, what did you think of the outlook when you first met Shannon?
Well, the from one side of it is not uncommon for someone to fall again and again. In fact, I find it more uncommon when somebody just stops. That's and then doesn't go, doesn't reuse due to stress or whatever. So the fact that there was a double-edged sword there. There were so many times, and I could actually show you all the stuff that we had to take care of that all was medically related to her ODing. And there was two sides of it. One is, well, maybe she's finally sick and tired of being sick and tired. Let's see what we do with this. The other part was, this is just going to be one more stop in her bumpy road. And we're a faith organization. We don't hide that. We don't beat people over the head with it. But faith plays a big part into what we do and how we do it. And it was really just, there was something I saw in her that also made me take a personal interest. And as adorable as she is now to look at, she did not look like that when we met. She did nothing like she looks today. And I'm not sure she always knew that, because I got pictures of her where she's kind of smiling, kind of giving us like a little look. And it's like, oh, girl, look, don't smile at me from the concentration camp. I mean, But then when she started to move forward and stuff, then the challenge is she started to feel like she was regaining her life. And then it was almost like having to put the brakes on her a little bit.
Because she felt more powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And in charge.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it's like, I'm going to put a cape on, jump off the roof and watch me fly. It's like, no, hold on for a minute. Okay. Before we do that, and there were times where, she pushed back a little bit, but she was wise enough to sit there and go, okay, the people that have done the best in our program are the ones that, they're going to get ticked off at you and tough stuff. That's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But they get ticked off and then go back to either, their room or where they're living and processing it and saying, okay, this is where I was. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. And I'm a lot closer to here than I used to be. And to help them take the next step, and then be able to talk very honestly, because Shannon has never been anything less than honest through the whole process, to the point where many people, it made them almost uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Okay. Me, on the other hand, was like, people that know me know how open I am with my past. And so I found that if she can talk about this like this, she's going to make it. And not only is she going to make it, but I think I even told her one time, you'll use what you take here to impact other lives later on. I didn't think anything that would be happening here in Matthew's Hope.
Yeah. So Shannon, I want to congratulate you, because you did purchase a house recently. And as a lot of us know in the community, it is very difficult to purchase a house. You need your finances in order. You need your credit score and bing, all of these things. So congratulations. That is so amazing. And Scott, you've mentioned previous episodes that she invited you to dinner. And I feel super emotional, because it's hard life. And for you to go to her home that she purchased, and you had a hand in it, but your actions, and you just did it. What was that like for you?
Pretty emotional. It's still emotional when I think about it. Emotional to me when I think about it, because one day she said to me, she goes, how will I ever thank you? And I said to her, you invite me to a house that you own and feed me with the food that you either prepared or bought, and have me for dinner. And I'd kind of forgotten about it. And what was really funny is that when I got the message, I thought it was from somebody else. And so I was trying to get out of it because I was just tired.
As we all do
and
sometimes.
Shelley calls me and she says, Scott, you do know that Shannon. I go, what? She goes, Shannon is who's having the dinner thing. I'm go, oh, well, I better be there.
Shannon, what was it like for you to be able to do that?
So I feel like throughout when I was in the program, right, there's milestones that you work with your advocate, and things like that pop up, right? Like I'm going to get here and then something else, right? So when I graduated and I continued working with Matthew's Hope, and that was always stayed in the back of my mind. And I feel like it's such a milestone in my life, right? It felt unattainable. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we kind of, I've talked about this sometimes, so I forget sometimes where I've talked about it at. But I will say that when Shannon was nearing the end of her program with us, her time with us, I had sat down with her in my office and said, "So, what do you want to do?" And she said, "I really would like to do what we do here at Matthew's Hope." And I remember saying to her, I said, because you're felony, no one's probably going to hire you because, unfortunately, we live in a strange world that we like rule followers to the point that we don't realize the ones that didn't follow the rules that now follow the rules are probably your best assets.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I looked at her. I said, "Well, but I don't follow those rules. Come to work for us." And that's really where it started. It was like the next phase for her, and it was then trying to figure out how to make that work and how to make that transition from her not thinking like a guest anymore and start thinking as a leader, and us not treating her like a guest anymore. And because one thing I tell to all my staff and volunteers, I said, we're not their friends. We can't be. We can be friendly, but we can't be their friends. We are here to move them forward towards a life of independence and self-sustainability. And we can't do that when we start letting our heart get ahead of our head. And that was tough for me for me personally, because she became someone very important to me. And I will say, being able to promote her to the Orange County campus director, there was that part of me was like this proud dad.
Yeah,
Like I'm so proud of where she came from, how dang, look at she,
so
how far, yeah.
so many transitions, so many steps forward, a few steps back. Where do you see yourself in this role? What do you hope to accomplish, or have you thought about it yet? Because I know you're fairly new in this position. So,
well, I think the overall goal hasn't changed, right? Being just a staff member to an advocate to the director now, the overall goal to help the next person, whether that's helping them move forward through the program or simply meeting them where they are and sitting with them and being with them and knowing that we're dependable, we're there for them by whatever that looks like for them, right? Because they're all different. Not all of our guests want to move forward. Some of them are comfortable where they are, and that's okay. Like that's what we're here for. So I just want to be the hand up that helps someone or be that person to sit with them.
I love that. So, Scott, there are people out there that look at someone in the state that Shannon was, and when you first met her, some people say she wasted her chance. Don't bother with her. She's hopeless. What do you say to someone who is so quick to write off another human being like that?
How dare you? I think one of the hardest things that I deal with day to day is things that people say about other people and to other people and about other people. And I think what hurts my heart the most, sorry, what hurts my heart the most is the fact that, many of them, if not most, claim to be Christians. And, I've said it before here. I said, Christian never has to tell you they're Christian. But someone who has, I had a 20-year sales and marketing career before I went to seminary, and grew churches and did all those things. I was ready to take on hell with a water pistol, and I guess I had this assumption that all the people that were out there that said, that Jesus Christ was their Savior, I just had this assumption that maybe they actually believe that
And would act accordingly.
Yeah, and would act accordingly, and it was funny the other day. I was at the port. I had taken Shelley to the port for a little getaway for her, and as I was sitting there waiting to pick them back up, a sheriff starts walking towards me, Brevard County Sheriff, and I'm thinking he sees my truck, and he, can't quite read his body language. He comes over and he kind of goes like this: "Roll down your window." I rolled it down. He says, "Hey, I just want to say thank you." He goes, "You guys are doing really good work." And he goes, unfortunately, only believers will understand what you're doing. And it was almost like a weight was lifted off me a little bit, because just because you claim you're a Christian doesn't mean you're a believer. Okay. And what he said, it made so much sense when he said it to me. And he put out his hand and he gave me his first name. We shook hands, and he goes, I just want you to know that there's a few of us out there really rooting you guys on. We're praying for you. And I said, it means a lot. I said, because we take a lot of bullets, so to speak. That's all right. It may be Jesus. The but it meant a lot, because there's these last few years have been some of the most trying, and at the same time some of the most rewarding. And it's every day it's a struggle to keep this thing going. And so when somebody gives you that encouragement, and then I can look at someone like Shannon and say, well, because we're encouraged, we can encourage others. That's a big deal to me, because I'm embarrassed to say that the greatest country in the world, and I still believe we're the greatest country in the world, has really turned into something that I never thought I'd see.
Yeah.
And this idea of people choosing to be homeless, it's such a lie. Okay, there's people that've chosen to remain homeless, but usually it's because they're so beat down, they've just given up. And so the fact that Shannon's in a position now to where she's going to be able to encourage even more people than ever, but also advocacy being the center of who we are as a ministry, it just makes perfect sense that she's in the place that she's in.
You remind me of Sunshine. You really do.
Thank you.
Now that you're Orange County campus director for Matthews Hope, where do you think you would be today if Matthews Hope didn't exist?
Well, this is straight talk, no BS, right?
Yeah.
I would probably be doing a shot of heroin right now, maybe overdosing, maybe racking up $1,600 more dollars. Definitely wouldn't have a relationship with my kids. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have a house. Maybe I wouldn't be alive.
Yeah. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Nah.
And it's super inspiring.
So I'm super proud of her. She's a good kid.
She is.
And she wants the best for others as well. And that encourages me in a big way, as, doing this for so long. And there's a lot of times you feel very alone doing this, and very much an outsider. Like I said, we take a lot of bullets. And so when I see someone that God has put that same spirit into, it does. It makes me get up the next day. I know how proud Shelley is. And, I actually, neither one of them knew I was doing it the night I did the promotions. And so kind of caught them both off guard. But I know Shelley feels a lot that as I do, is that we're just very super proud, and we don't look at her as just a team member. I mean, not that anybody's just a team member, but she's a true partner in this ministry going forward. And I see great things with her and through her.
Scott, stories like this, Shannon's life, it doesn't just happen, and Matthews Hope needs funding. So how as a community are we able to help? So, not only Shannon, and I know there's many other stories.
Yeah.
There's many other guests. Like you said, maybe not all of them take all of those steps forward, but they do come in and get a shower and they feel like a new person, and that helps them to live another day.
Yeah, the first step really is dignity and respect. As far as starting to be able to ignite that fuse to get somebody moving forward. It does take a lot of resources. Our budget at the end of this year between our two campuses will be about $15 million.
Wow.
And the challenge that Matthews Hope has is we're not as big as we look. I think we have 54 employees between the two campuses, but once you take out the preschool teachers, the medical personnel, the shop people, the store people, you take all those things out, it leaves us for about 9 at each location. So, not having the volunteers that we've had in the past since the pandemic is a struggle. But also, our typical donor is middle class, and some would even say possibly, and I hate using this terminology, but they haven't come up with a more politically correct one, but even lower class. And I think it's because those people get how close each of us are to being in this position. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, the good news is we have like 65% of our people that are behind us are just everyday people, and that's huge to know that they're rowing with you and they're pushing this thing forward. The other side of it is those people have been beat up horribly by this economy the last few years,
Right.
and so when you see food being 30% more than it was, I can assure you their paycheck isn't 30% more. So that kind of a lot of that went away for us, and then the folks that people think have money, the reality is they have assets. They don't so much have money, and so because the markets have been what they've been the last few years, we used to benefit from that. We haven't. So our fundraising has gotten tougher. We used to make a lot of money, like for our golf tournament. The last couple of years, we end up clearing like 30,000. When you consider that we spend and go through 30 to $40,000 worth of resources every time we open.
Wow.
We basically covered most of a day,
Right.
and that in the past that wasn't the case. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
And there's a fall fundraiser coming up. Is that correct?
Yeah. We just recently announced that of course, our fall fundraiser is now always the last Saturday of September. We moved it out of October into September, so last Saturday of September, and this year it's going to be the Roaring 20s, which should be a lot of fun. People get dressed up, and we have gaming tables, and we have auctions, and it's just a good time, and we share some of the stories. I think this year will be especially a big celebration because we've gone through a lot of changes the last couple of years, and we've done a lot in the community that a lot of people don't know about. We're kind of, oddly enough, we're still kind of the unknown entity. We're not sexy. Homelessness is not sexy. So it gets challenging sometimes. I have to admit there's times where I'll see someone get a ridiculous amount of money and I go, wow, how cool is that? Why are we not getting that?
Yeah.
And I think it's because, quite honestly, we're so busy with our nose to the grindstone that we just don't have time to be sexy.
Shannon, what would you say to the community for them to hop on board with this mission?
I think in terms of donating, whether it's a large quantity or anything helps, right? From being able to house someone, transitional housing, keep the lights on, keep us running, to just a pair of boxers or underwear for someone that is life-changing for that person, right? Who hasn't got to change clothes. So as much as I feel like maybe people may think that their few dollars won't count, or what's the point, or is it worth it? The answer is yes. Every penny counts.
So maybe that once a week, take that coffee, that 8 o'clock coffee away, which we all should, indulge in something for ourselves, but maybe we can take something away for a week or a month and put that money towards the organization that's helping so many people.
And it really is those donations that keep us going. They really are. It's the
consistent monthly.
The people that have, we've really encouraged the last couple of years, because there's been so many changes with the economy and stuff, that we've encouraged becoming a sustaining donor. And some of those people are giving us, $5 a week, sometimes $5 a month, sometimes $100 a month. But it's a way for a lot of people to give where they don't feel such a burden because they're not writing out a big check. And quite honestly, it makes it easier for us to sustain the ministry because we can kind of budget better.
Definitely.
We go in the summer months and it's rough.
Yeah.
People love Jesus. They just don't love quite as much between June and September. I joke about that, and I'll probably get a nasty gram on that one. But
it's reality.
People go on vacation, and churches and nonprofits really struggle during the summer because of it. And so as we're entering the summer months, I'm kind of holding my breath and praying, and
maybe we could put out some type of challenge to the community. It might my head's rolling a little bit. Let's talk about that later. But Scott, is there anything else that you want to share with everybody? I know you could go on and on about Shannon, so we're going to briefly. Anything you want to close before we wrap up?
Now, I would ask that those of you that are listening and possibly watching the podcast, that you keep our team in prayer. It has been a particularly tough season lately. The growth in our mobile teams is off the charts right now. I mean, where we were seeing 25 or 30 people just a few weeks ago, the last few times we've been out, it's been in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. The number of people coming in on our outreach days on Tuesdays and Thursdays continues to grow. I think this past month, Daniel was telling me we had 47 new people.
Wow.
When you're doing that month after month, on top of what you're already serving, at some point something has to give. I always compare it to leaving the house in the morning and you leave the house and you had 3 kids and you got back and there was 10 and you have the same income in the same size house. That's kind of what we're dealing with. We need your time,
is not
talents, and
good.
treasures. Yeah.
Shannon, is there anything you want to add?
I would just like to add, for anyone struggling or needing help in terms of a shower or wanting to change their life and they're homeless, come check us out.
I love that.
Yeah.
You guys have been great. Well, thank you all also for watching. Look for this challenge because I feel like we need to roll something out that can be doable for the community. Thank you for listening, watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you guys next time.